Well, hello there, cat people. Dan the Catman here, and welcome to the 30th episode of the Shelter Cats podcast, my labor of feline love. I'm recording this on a Friday night in early September. It's still hot, it's still humid, I still don't like it. My cats are handling it much better than me. They just sleep it off. They have water fountains, they have fans, air conditioners, dehumidifiers. But they're handling it much better than me. They're not complaining. I'm the one that's complaining. But anyway, it's all about the cats. It's not about me. The older I get, the less I like summer. I used to love summer as a kid. I went to summer camp in every summer of the 80s. I went to summer camp for 8 weeks. We had no air conditioning. We had fans. And I played sports. I tried to. I'm not an athlete. But we ran around. We swam in a lake. We swam in a pool. We had no air conditioning. We did fine. When I grew up as a kid, our schools had no air conditioning. I did fine. Now, I hate it. I hate summer. I want winter. I can't wait for winter. The older I get, the more I like bitter cold and snow and ice, and I'm bundled up and my cats are on my lap. That's the weather I love. But it's September. The holidays will be here soon. Halloween is my favorite time of year, so good times are ahead. But anyway, welcome to the show. I'm so excited. This was one of my holy grail guests to get on this show, and I got him. And very, 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 very excited about this interview. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. But that being said, as I always say on my show, I want to hear from you too. Because right now, you have a story to tell about your shelter cat. And that's what this show is about. The shelter cats that have made a difference for me, and the people that make a difference in the lives of shelter cats, and their stories. Because I want to inspire more people to adopt shelter cats, or to foster, or to get involved in rescue, or to just donate to local shelters if they don't have the time or resources. Cats need our help. Cats need homes. And we all need to do our part. And today's guest definitely does his part. So, that being said, how can you find me? Because I want to hear your stories. Send me pictures, tell me about your cats. And who knows, you might be on my show as a future guest. Because I want to give a broad platform to everybody, from owners, pet owners, to the rescue directors. So, website is tywiththecat.com. Email is dan@tywiththecat.com. Facebook page is Shelter Cats. Instagram, TikTok is Shelter Cats Podcast. Threads is Shelter Cats Podcast. Twitter is Shelter Cats Pod, P-O-D. YouTube is Shelter Cats Podcast as well, or just Shelter Cats. Medium is sheltercats.medium.com. I blog most Saturdays. And am I missing anything? I don't think so. That's all of them. So find me on one of those places. And if you want, you could even support the podcast on Spotify. Look for the dollar symbol, or look for Shelter Cats on Patreon. And you could support the show, because I'd love to get better equipment and learn how to edit better. But you don't have to. And that's how you find me. So, without further ado, and Sophie's awake. Hi, Sophie. My staff consists of felines, and they're usually asleep when I'm doing my shows. They must be mesmerized by my Brooklyn Jewish accent. I have no idea. But at any rate, I have the unique pleasure of having John DeBacker as my guest on this show. John DeBacker is, if you're in the New York, New Jersey area, he's fairly well known as like trapper extraordinaire. And by trapper, I mean, for those of you that might not know what a trapper is, he humanely traps feral cats, stray cats. You're basically, it's a cage, there's food in the cage, the cat goes in the cage to eat the food, and he pulls the door to the cage closed. And then he goes and has them fixed, and he brings them back. That's TNR, trap, neuter, return. And that's what he does. And he does it 24/7, basically. He has his own van where he has equipment like trappings. And, he posts what he does on Facebook. Everything from an amazing story about a cat stuck in an industrial air conditioner to trapping cats that have unfortunately run onto highways and are in danger of being injured or killed, to jumping into lakes. Not just cats. I've seen him rescue, geese and rabbits and possums and raccoons and birds. So, there's nothing he won't trap and rehabilitate. He works with local vets and local town shelters, depending on where he does what he does. And he just does it 24/7. My experience with John is I had a white cat about 4 years ago named Charlie. I have a colony that shows up at my door for food. He was like a white and black and gray cat, and he showed up at my door. And I started feeding him. And it was obvious that he wasn't fixed. And tried to trap him a few times, and it didn't work. And then one day, after a few weeks of being fed, after a couple days of not being around, he showed up with a big injury on his leg. And I knew I had to take immediate action. And John set up the trap late one night, and he never showed up. And then the next morning at like 6 a.m, Charlie showed up. I fed him in the trap, and by the grace of God, he went in the trap. And literally at the foot of the driveway, in my pajamas, I pulled the trap, and I text John, I got him, he's in the trap. And it was 6:30 a.m. John came right over, took him to the town shelter. They fixed him. He was fixed. His injuries were tended to. And then a week later, he was back here, back on, released. And he became the sweetest, most unassuming cat. And somebody down the block ended up taking him in. And that's just one of the many, many stories that John has. So I had to get his story, like how he got into this and how it turned into basically a 24/7 operation, all by himself. So without further ado, here is my interview with John DeBacker, Trapper Extraordinaire. Enjoy. Hello, John. How are you?
Hi. Sorry about that.
No problem. Take 3 will be much better.
Okay.
So, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No problem. So my little podcast is really about like rescue cats, shelter cats, and I want to give voice to the people that have made a difference. And to say you've made a difference is an understatement.
Thank you.
You simply amaze me. I mean, I came across you much like most other people. I had a white cat on my block 3 years ago. I didn't know what to do. He was injured. And they said, here's John's number. Message him. And I think you were here at like 6:30 in the morning, and we trapped him. So thank you for what you do. And I have the questions that we discussed. So
sure, yeah.
Without further ado, I'm just curious, like, did you grow up with animals? What's your background like growing up with animals?
Actually, I've always had dogs my entire life. I actually only got my first cat back in 2012. She was known as Destiny. I got her basically as a Christmas gift, and she lived with me for the next 10 or so years, and she unfortunately did pass away last year from cancer.
I'm sorry. So you had more dogs. Do you prefer one or the other?
I actually, I love all animals. That's why I'm vegan also. But I prefer cats, honestly, over any other animal. Just because there's not enough people that do care about them.
Well, I mean, I have to agree with you, not only because I host the show, but because I have 5 of my own.
Yeah. But I have nothing against dogs, though. I love dogs also.
Oh, yeah. My landlord has a pit bull that I adore. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. And is what you do your full-time gig?
Yeah, it's full time. Yeah, some days are busier than others with emergencies. Some days are more routine scheduled trappings.
And how did that, like, when did you begin that? How long ago? And like, what led you into, I mean, did you plan on this becoming such a all-encompassing part of your life?
Not really. No, around 10 to 15 years ago, when I was living in Seabird still, there was a house like around the block from me. The owner of four cats died, and no family member wanted to take responsibility. So I helped trap those cats, and they went to Bobby and the Strays. And from
Okay.
that part on, I just became a full time trapper.
And I guess did you learn on the job, or you just knew
Yeah,
what you,
I pretty much just learned while I was there. It's really not too hard to trap. All you do is just put food in. Some cats are smarter than others and require more time, but eventually every cat is trappable.
okay, okay. Yeah. I mean, it took hours for the one you helped me with. And then earlier in the year, it took a few hours and it
Yeah.
took you crawling under the front deck because you're much skinnier than I am. Thank you.
Oh,
Um, I would still be stuck there. So I appreciate that. So that, I guess that kind of answers my next question. Like the first rescue you ever did, was that those four cats?
yeah, that was yeah. Before that, I actually volunteered at Bobby and the Strays in Freeport. I just spent time socializing the cats, playing with them, making them friendlier, so they get adopted quicker. And there's always a need for socializers.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so this is your full-time gig. You have your own vehicle.
Correct. Yeah.
Um, what's a this is a loaded question, but I know I did send it to you. What's a typical day for you? Because I see I follow your social media, but like, do you start your day not knowing what you have to do, or do you just have like a overwhelming number of calls and messages that you try to get to? Like, what's a typical day? How do you manage it all? You're
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt.
no.
Yeah, some days are busier than others. Some days I pretty much just have scheduled planned trappings. Like if a cat shows up at like 7 a.m., I plan to get to the location usually a half hour to an hour before, so I'm all set up before the cat arrives. And then some days are like full of emergencies, cat on highways, sewers, trees, stuck in car engines, and stuff that needs like immediate attention.
So it's putting out a trap and putting food and hoping the cat, like you said, they're very smart. So
Yeah,
the cat. Can you talk a little bit about like how you trap a cat, if you don't mind?
yeah. With routine trapping like TNR, the best thing to do is get the cat on a feeding schedule so you're not sitting there for like 12, 24 hours at a time. And once the cat's like eating consistently every day, then you just go there in that around that time the following day.
Oh yeah, they know when to show up for food, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Just about every colony that I've trapped at, the cats are fed on a schedule. They're used to like coming out at a certain time every morning or every night. Very rarely the cats like show up in the middle of the day anyway.
So it's more like evening time,
Morning and evening, yeah.
and then you bring them to be fixed. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I use a bunch of different clinics. I use Hempstead if the cats are trapped within Hempstead Township. I use Helping Paws in East Meadow. I use Island Rescue in Bayshore. I don't really go past Bayshore, so it's pretty much west of Bayshore.
Okay.
And I use all of my cats clinics sometimes.
So basically, Nassau County to Bayshore is your range.
Correct, yeah. And sometimes I'll go to Queens or Brooklyn for an emergency situation. Like I recently got a cat that was stuck in an AC unit for 2 weeks. I
I
went there.
saw that. I saw that. That was incredible. Do you mind talking a little bit about that one?
Oh yeah, it took a lot for us to get like approval from the housing authority to cut open the AC unit, but I wasn't gonna give up, and I was actually about to make a post on Facebook for everyone to call them up because there's always you sometimes have success with power in numbers. If everyone calls up, no one wants the bad publicity.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
luckily, right before I made the post, got the call that they got approval to cut open the unit. It's like a $5,000 unit or so, I think.
And it
Someone
had
said.
to and it had to be basically destroyed to get the cat out.
No, not really destroy. We just had to like cut open several parts of the ductwork. We didn't have to destroy the entire unit.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we pretty much
Yeah,
was able to cut open the ductwork, corner the cat in a certain area, and then I was able to grab the cat right out and put him in the trap.
and no idea how the cat got into this AC unit at all.
No, actually, we believe because the unit was installed 2 weeks prior, so we believe when they were installing the unit, the cat snuck in. No one saw the cat go in. And they closed up the unit and been in there ever since. So we believe he was in there for 2 weeks
Oh my
because
god! And
it was completely sealed, closed. So there was no other explanation how he got in there.
obviously no food for 2 weeks. My god!
Correct. Yeah.
And how the cat doing? Okay.
Yeah, he's in foster with someone in Brooklyn now.
That's great.
Yeah. It
What
was
a
very
what,
it was very cold in there. A lot of people were concerned it would be too hot, but it was actually the complete opposite. It was very cold from all the cold air blowing on
he had a better deal than me.
him.
Um, so I'm just going down the list. What is what's the most? Is there one rescue you've done, and you've done this a couple of years? Is there like the worst or the most challenging? Obviously, this is a very challenging
Oh
because this
yeah,
took 2 weeks. Was there another, I guess, second place that is there one that stands out in your mind as that was the worst, most challenging? Because I'm sure you face a lot of
yeah,
very challenging, and just having to go through and keep yourself motivated to go through these things. What is there one that stands out as the most challenging experience you've ever had?
yeah. Highway rescue is always the most difficult because anything can go wrong. One wrong move and the cat could be like roadkill, which happened like last year actually with the cat stuck in the center of the Grand Central Parkway. My friend Carolyn Stratcher, we arrived there. We tried to sneak up on the cat, grab it, but he bolted into the oncoming traffic. He got hit by 2 cars in front of us. Luckily, he stayed stunned in the right lane, so we were able to like stop traffic. I ran into the opposing lanes and picked him right up, or her up, I mean, and then I was able to put her right in the trap. I took her right to the vet, and luckily there was no major injuries somehow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and that cat's doing okay despite.
The rescue will always be with me just because she got hit right in front of us.
Oh, I cannot see that right there. That would probably break me. I don't know if I'd be able to.
Yeah,
Uh,
we thought we lost her for good there, but it worked out in the end.
that's incredible. So highway rescues, yeah, they sound like very high stress.
Correct. Yeah, we did a BQE rescue also, and I just snuck up on the cat and hand grabbed her, and she's been adopted through the Brooklyn Cat Cafe. That was like on the ledge, like a 20-foot drop where it got away on the highway, but luckily it didn't get away.
Wow. Um, and I guess next I want to kind of give you the floor. If you have free reign, what advice can you tell people? Like, what's the thing? Like, I keep saying the same thing. I keep having to repeat this. What's the biggest piece of advice you can give people?
Oh yeah, some people rescue just to make themselves feel better. So I do want people to have the animal's best interest in mind. For example, it's like inhumane to keep a feral cat living in a crate for its entire life. Creating an animal short term is fine for like to recover from an injury, but no animal wants to be locked up for their life. Some people think that they're doing good by creating an animal for years at a time, which, in my opinion, that's just cruel.
Right. Yeah. The first one you helped me. We released him back on the block. Actually, somebody took him in.
Yeah, if the cat's friendly, I mean, they can get adopted out, but feral cats are just miserable being like locked inside.
Yeah. So that that makes a lot of sense. Is there anything else that you want people to know, or how can people find you? Because obviously, do you rely on donations?
Yeah, it's all donation based. Yeah, I never ask for money. It's I don't want money to turn people off from getting an animal help. So if people want to donate, that's perfectly fine, but it's all up to them.
And how do they find you?
Oh, I'm on Facebook under my name, John DeBacker.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I actually post TikTok a few times, but I don't use that consistently.
I try to, but I feel like I'm too old for TikTok. So I hear you.
Yeah, Facebook is easier.
Yeah, I think for what I've you're my 30th episode, and I've found that in cat rescue, animal rescue, it seems Facebook is the biggest platform that everybody's on.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
and maybe Instagram like a close second, but I found most of my guests on Facebook and Instagram. So that tends to be correct. So yeah, go on John's page. Feel free to donate. You do this day and night. You've been such a great help. You've done amazing things. I had to have you on.
Yeah, I pretty
Um,
much do this 24/7. I actually a few years ago, or I think last year, I got a call at 4 a.m. in the morning at LaGuardia Airport. Kitten stuck in the car engine of a pilot's car. Got the kitten out, and it's been adopted through Last Hope Rescue.
and how many do you have of your own?
It was originally supposed to be three, but I decided to keep one more, so I have four now. Rainy was my newest addition after nearly drowning in Hempstead. She was after a rainstorm, she was found in a water-filled garbage pail. She was soaking wet, barely alive when I got to her, but luckily she's doing good now.
That's that's amazing. That's amazing. That and you so you have four of your own. I'm assuming I know you kept my Charlie for like almost a week while he recovered before he got released. Do you keep some of those in your own place, or
Yeah,
obviously
I
there's
actually. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go
no,
on.
no. Yeah, do you have the space to keep a few of the ferals that are recovering for a few days? Is that something you do as well?
Yeah, I actually was able to build like a custom built shed. Has AC for AC and heat. So
Oh,
I recover girls for like 3 days, males for 24 hours. And sometimes I hold them in my place short term.
why do girls and boys need different times like that?
Girls, the surgery is more extensive. They have to cut the girls open and stitch them up. Males, the surgery isn't as extensive. The girls just need more time to recover. Pregnant girls, they say, should have actually a few more days just because it's even more extensive.
Right. But boys, you typically 24 hours.
Yeah, I've released boys 24 hours after surgery and they're perfectly fine.
And they could be released out and back into their territory at that point.
Yeah, they always have to go back to the same location they trapped from.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you so much. You were like my holy grail guest, so I really appreciate this.
Um,
If you're in New York, if you're on the island, and if you find a cat and you don't know what to do, please reach out to John. Um, you are the guru for this stuff, and it is greatly appreciated. I,
thank you.
and thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Bye. Dan the Cat Man here, and there you have it. I mean, come on, just amazing stuff. You know, and he's a vegan, which I wasn't entirely aware of. And how can you not be? But that's a topic for a different type of show. So he does amazing things. He does this all the time. If you are in the New York area, Long Island, Nassau, the western part of Suffolk County, and New York City as well, he is on Facebook, John DeBacker, DeBacker. John DeBacker. You could find him on Facebook and friend him there. And he has, donation links where you could donate to what he does, because the vet bills are exorbitantly expensive, as I'm sure you're aware. He works with people, as he said, but I'm sure the vet bills are just ridiculous, because vet bills are ridiculous. So if you're able to, please donate. If you need help trapping an animal and you're not sure what to do, reach out to him. He's very receptive and he's very helpful. And, he'll go at odd hours of the day, because it's all about, getting that cat out of danger. So thank you, John, for everything you do. Go find him on Facebook. Reach out to him if you need any help trapping a cat or any other type of animal. And thank you so much for listening. I always appreciate everyone listening to my show. And this is Dan signing off, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week. Pet your cats and take care. Bye-bye. Hello there, cat people. Dan the Catman one more time with a small update to this podcast. It is Saturday, November 25th, 12:17 p.m. and John DeBacker, the guest of my 30th episode, was instrumental in helping me trap another cat from my colony in my backyard. So I get to post a little update that John was able to help me yet again this morning. So one of my colony cats, Penelope, she is a tabby and white cat. Kind of looks like Jackson. So tabby with kind of a white chest and white feet. And she showed up about 3-4 years ago. She has 2 different color eyes and she has a tipped ear. So that means at some point she was fixed, which is good. And she showed up there, pretty much during the pandemic, and she's been hanging around ever since. And she sleeps in the back deck, and I built her a little home out of a plastic container that I lined with waterproof bedding. So she sleeps here and comes and goes. And last Saturday, she showed up and she had gotten into something because she had an injury in her mouth. And I don't want to get too graphic, but her mouth was pretty badly injured and she couldn't close it. And I could tell that either she got sick or she got hurt, or I don't want to know. But I tried to trap her last week and she eluded me. I didn't see her for a couple of days, and then she came back on Wednesday and the same thing. I tried to trap her. I messaged and called and texted and posted to everyone I know, including former guests of this show, Strays of Brooklyn, who's a future guest, and the Brooklyn Rescues. I messaged everybody I know to try to come help me trap this beautiful girl. And before I could get anybody here to help, she ran off again. She's friendly, she's sweet. I could sit with her, she'll let me pet her. She rubs my legs if I feed her. I tried to let her in once, but she didn't want to come in. So she's a stubborn girl too. But finally this morning, I hadn't seen her in a couple of days, and she was at the door. She ate a little bit, but I could tell that she was in pain, because she was just sitting by my door, on my ledge by my back door, and she was alert, but I could tell that she was just wanting to stay here because she knew she was safe. So I begged and pleaded with John DeBacker to please come and help. And I know he's busy 24/7, but he definitely graciously, thankfully, was able to get here within a half hour. Thank God for John DeBacker, that's all I could say, because he was able to get here. And by good fortune, she was waiting. She was waiting by my door, and she didn't run off. So because the backyard is an open area, John decided to use a net, and he has a big net, like the dog catchers in the old days, like one of those looking kind of net things on a long pole. And at first he was going to net her, but I kneeled down in the driveway and she came over to me and started rubbing my legs. So then John suggested that I net her. So I got a very quick lesson in how to net a cat as part of the trapping, and you put the net flat on the ground so that they're enclosed in the net and they don't escape. So as I'm calling her and being really friendly and reassuring her, she came out in an open part of the driveway without anywhere to run, without any obstacles, and bam! I got the net down. I threw a towel on top of her, and she got trapped. And then John put her into a safe trap, and he transported her to the town shelter, town of Hempstead. Let's hope they do the right thing with her. I did call them, and they said because she's a stray, they will take her in and they will treat her. And if she makes it, if she pulls through, because she's sweet, they'll put her up for adoption. So I hope and pray to God that she makes it, whatever is going on with her mouth, she can recover from. I pray it's just a bad infection. I pray it's nothing worse. I'm going to call tomorrow with an update. But once again, I could not possibly have done this without John's amazing help. And John's just, he's 24/7. Everybody wants a piece of him. Everybody wants to get him to help. And people are, sometimes they're not nice about it. But you know what? He is a stand-up guy, and he was able to come and help, and he transported her to the shelter for me. So thank you, John, so much for being you, for being out there, for just providing this service. You don't have to do this, but you do it, and you do it day in, day out, and I could not imagine what would have happened to her without your help. So thank you, John. And no matter what happens to her, at least I know she's off the streets and she is getting help, because that's what matters. And sometimes you just need to reach out to people and get help. So if you have a cat that's injured, don't turn away. Don't turn a blind eye. Reach out to people. Post on animal groups on Facebook. Ask around. And you will get the help you need. And that cat will get the help that they need. So say a prayer for Penelope. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in next week's episode.